What do you make of the Casper Ruud stuff? Like you mentioned it quickly, but the thing that was surprising was one, if I have general tournament infrastructure concerns, I'm not sure I go to the chair umpire.
That's not your go-to guy mid-match. That's not where you'd raise those concerns.
Well, I love it. He's like, you could go talk to Andrea, like Gaudenzi. He's like, okay, so wait. So you're gonna go complain about the tournament infrastructure to the umpire, and the umpire is going to go try to find the CEO of the ATP Tour to tell him about the average conditions for the players at the Miami Open. Like,
think about that in another sport. Think we have a whistle in the middle of an NBA game and everyone's at the free throw line, and you're telling the official to go call Adam Silver because we need to change our scheduling.
Yeah, can we get Adam Silver on the line? I don't like the temperature in the locker room was a little chilly. So if you could just get on that ASAP, that'd be great. But it was weird because Casper's not. We're joking, but he's not a complainer. Like, he's not someone who's a hothead. He's not, Fognini does this. It's like, okay, he's just on one today. Like, he's just, he's in wrong side of the bed situation. Ruud is not this kind of irresponsible, whingy kind of complainer.
I think you're right. Also, and that matters, right? I mean, having
yes.
Nick Kyrgios making a complaint is different from Casper Ruud making a complaint. I did think how much of this, honestly, and I wish there were some analytics for this. I mean, you like data, I like data. Tennis sometimes frustrates us. I don't know if you can quantify this, but how much of what goes on during a match is just a player offloading aggression and frustration? And when Andy Murray yells at his box, it's not because he's really mad. It's just a way to offload. And when Casper Ruud is bitching about towels, it's not because he really has this heartfelt antipathy about the way the tournaments run. It's just a way to offload frustration. Again, when your neurochemistry is bubbling up and you're in the heat of battle and you do some kooky stuff, how much of it is that? And if you let the guy calm down for 5 minutes after a match, you would have a much different take.
Oh, for sure. I tell a story this week. Well, I won't ruin it because the conversation with Kim, I think, is after this, but we pre-recorded it, where I basically said I snapped in my club morning dingles session and wrapped a racket around a pole. Like, that's not normal. Like, that's not, so I think there is some buildup. Like, it's like if you're having the worst day ever and you order something like we're out of that, you're like, ugh! Like, it's not that big of a deal. But depending on the circumstances, you get a little pissed. I mean, I think there's probably truth to whatever someone says. Like, you feel it, but you don't really see many people just go off when they're winning. I don't think that's a small part of it. But yeah, I mean, I think some of it is, you're trying to, as athletes at a certain moment in time, we're trained in denial. Like, we are experts in denial. Oh, you've lost three matches in a row. Yeah, but I practiced great yesterday. I really feel like things have turned around. The best stuff's ahead for me. It's like, but like, nothing in your recent history suggests that that's the case, But we are kind of programmed to think certain ways, and we're just a little psychotic out there, John.
Athletes, I always say, are the best storytellers, right? That nobody believed in us. Yeah. Well, I don't understand. You guys were a 15-1 favorite. We shook up the world.
Yes.
No, prove the doubters wrong. Like, are you kidding? Everybody wanted you to win. Athletes are great.
Yeah, my personal favorite. We're world champs. It's like, but like, no one else in the world plays this sport.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. Well, we're world champs. We're national champs. I'm like, well, there's a pro league. Like, you wouldn't beat them. It's just, we just kind of a little bit self-gratifying, self-loathing maybe when we're on the court. But let's just give me your quick thoughts, because I have it. I have some thoughts too. Casper Ruud complaining about the general infrastructure in Miami. How do you kind of digest that? What is James's role in this situation? I have, and I probably come into it with a bias because I love James, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
You want a really hot take?
The hottest.
IMG runs this event. IMG also represents players. A bit of a strange dynamic. Events, obviously, their businesses. They're trying to run on efficiencies, cut costs, turn a profit. Players would like more wages, better conditions. Those are at odds. And I wonder how much of this, and honestly, you would hear this even way predating this event at Hard Rock, predating James Blake, who we all know and love, but a tournament director, as you were able to elucidate us on the last show, a tournament director does not necessarily have great control over the purse strings. I wonder how much of this is about players perhaps being a bit frustrated that an event run by a management company also, wait, these are my representatives. They're getting a commission on me. Little hard to be on both sides of the table. I wonder if this is an event not owned by IMG. We're going very in depth. This is really inside tennis guts here. But I wonder if you and I run this event and not, hey, wait a second, you guys are supposed to be managing players, and now you're also cutting corners and running this event on the cheap. I wonder if that isn't a bit of background to this controversy, such as it is.
Yes. I think that I hadn't thought about it that way. That would certainly make sense if I was with IMG and you go in and all the things that Casper Ruud said, like I'm, begging for towels and cold water when you're playing in Miami. I don't think that's diva-ish. I think that's probably a fair request, and maybe a place to shower. That's like a permanent structure. I think it's this simple. You're coming off of Indian Wells, where it's arguably the best tournament on earth for the players. Like, you have everything. The facility's great. It's like it's pretty bougie at this point. But it's also kind of like a vanity trophy of a guy who is like the 5th richest guy on earth, and frankly doesn't care or report to a P&L. It's not as if his company is going to be affected by the cost mechanisms in place for an 11-day tennis tournament. It's just not the reality that he lives in. You fly to Miami, and all of a sudden it is one big P&L sheet. They bought this tournament as an entity to run it to try to make money. Those are very clear differences, which have zero to do with a tournament director. It's the same way that I defended Tommy Haas when on Twitter after the first day, when the balls ended up being fine in Indian Wells, but it was fun for a day and there was a lot of memes and I was a full participant in it. But then, people are like, Haas needs to get a bunch of new balls by tomorrow. I'm like, he's going to change the ball and order them at scale by tomorrow? Like, I feel like the tournament director is a catch-all for anything. James can't decide the budgets for what they're going to spend. Now, my personal opinion is, if you sign a 30-year lease and take it from a place where it's been for 30 years at Crandon Park, and we're in year 5 or 6, and I need all cards on the table. I've never been to the site there in Miami. Right. I don't go there. It's just what we hear, the Casper of things. I texted another player friend who was like, yeah, everything is kind of in containers, right? It just feels very temporary. You have a 30-year lease at this point. If there's space, which was kind of the selling point to leave Crandon Park, because Crandon Park had a lot of great things, but it was a tight piece of land. There wasn't a lot of places to be additive to that facility as it was growing. It's obviously, bigger in 2018 than it is in, 1993 or 94 when I went there. You have a 30-year lease and a title to this tournament. Like, you should build some infrastructure that's permanent for these players, right?
Can I weigh in on this real
yes.
quick? Because there is Stephen Ross involved in all this. The owner of the Dolphins, the F1, Hard Rock Stadium. I mean, he put in $500 million to update this like a few years back, and it's been rumored that he's looking to sell like minority stakes, including to Ken Griffin, the fellow hedge fund billionaire. And when you look at something like this, like, is it about not having a large capital outlay while you're trying to sell something?
Yes. And it's also just every major sports franchise owner in pro sports is rich, right? That's kind of generally okay. And some still run teams just for profit, and that's their North Star, and that's their prerogative. And some will spend anything, to win, to have a fan experience, to do X, Y, and Z. So I think that's what we're talking about. But there is a difference between Ellison's never selling that tournament. He loves going to that tournament. He loves having that tournament. He is a massive tennis fan. I don't even know if Stephen Ross cares about tennis. It was just another thing that he could put in Hard Rock Stadium. So it's just people operate and have different motivations. Now, if he is looking to sell things and there is a profit center that needs to be represented for a sale, running people out of containers and, folding chairs, I guess, makes a little bit more sense. If that's the case, I'd say I hope he sells it sooner rather than later so that the next person can do the right thing and actually build some infrastructure.
If only there were investors looking to get into sports. If only there were countries with sovereign wealth funds that might be interested in investing in the tennis tournament. I mean, don't you think? I mean, first of all, let's just how much of we're talking very high end here. We're talking very high level about P&L statements, and I'm as guilty as anyone. How much of this is just the volunteer in charge of towels got lost on the way to go to the right tent? It may have been something as simple as someone's golf cart jammed and they couldn't get the towels in time. I also. I don't think on the continuum of complaints, towels and water is like a fork and knife at a restaurant. We're not exactly like tennis Karen here throwing a fit. The flip side is, don't you think James was thinking, could you just bring it to me next time? I'll give you my number. Text me. I'm on WhatsApp. However you want to get in touch with me. Could you just come to me next time and not have the live mic pick this up to the chair umpire, which makes this a viral moment? I will give you all the towels and water you want, Casper. You're right, but just deal with me directly next time. I'm here for you, buddy. Help me help you, Casper Ruud.
And stop just tournament directing every problem with a tournament. Like, do you think James has the ability to write? I love him. He does not have the ability to write a $200 million infrastructure check. Like, he is asking someone to do that for him. He is managing as best he can with what is provided to him. The argument is not James Blake, right? Like, it's just the tournament director is like the catch-all for anything. Like, a cat runs on the court. They're like, James, how could you?
You call yourself a tournament director with iguanas running?
Yeah, Haas with the bees. This is a hazard, Tommy Haas. Fuck nature, Tommy Haas. Anyways, just take it easy. Like, I don't think what Casper was saying, from what I followed up, it doesn't sound like it's wrong. I'm also not sure what you want James to do about it. Like, every other person we're talking about that can fix this problem is a billionaire. God love him. James is never gonna have to worry about money again in his life. But also, like, he's not gonna, put his own money in as Miami tournament director to build a $300 million clubhouse. Like, stop it.